like in 1870. And depending on where you start is kind of where you end up and what you think is the most important aspect to be considered.
When you're a history buff or a historian when it comes to music, I mean, you draw from a variety of genres and over art history, music history. And I think so often when it comes to racial matters, we have amnesia. That's one of the reasons why it's so important for us to be concerned for Black History Month, because if we come in late to the ensemble or late to the concert, you know, we pick up and we end off not far down the line from where we started off. There's a sense in which we need to know, you know, look further back and reflect further back to actually have a bigger context for the life music that we're playing. At least that's in part what I hear from your reflections now and in other contexts. And so, like, okay, where did they get the land from? You know, where did they come to own the land? Because that wasn't part of your friend's wavelength, so to speak. He wasn't thinking about it. He needed to go back further, and it's very complex. It's very challenging for all of us, and we have to guard against, you know, historical amnesia when it comes to reflection on history and race, just like with music. Any thoughts further to that as we're riffing on that theme?
Not really. It's just it is very important to listen to the entire scale because it's going to be in use at some point in time as you're composing the music the musical score that you're going to live by.
Thank you. So what is one or what are two painful historical events that you believe we should remember and why when it comes to Black history?
Well, in my mind, Black history and American history, which includes white history, begins and ends with slavery. There's really no getting around that aspect of our story, of our collective story. It was here when the country was founded, and it was here for hundreds of years as just an assumed way of the way the social order should be structured. And if we wanted to riff farther on the continuum of where we come in on any story, one of the guys in the church has a son, he's 12, 13, and he was at school this last school semester, and they had issued school books, textbooks. And in the textbook, it said that slavery in America was just a matter of Black people being forced to work without pay.
That's what it said.
That's what it said. That was that's what that young man would have walked away believing about that institution had his parents not known me.
So what did you share with him, or how did they speak to him about that?
Well, as far as my friends, what we talked to him about was just the history behind it, about not in a, let's see, I'm not really sure how to phrase this other than it was a lot more than forced labor. It was a matter of stripping away one group of people's right to their past story, there we go, to their history, to their story, and making it someone else's story forever. Then it was going to remain that way because once that was done, once that breach was done, there was no going back. And so the story of the African in America was no longer the African story, nor was it the American story. It was a new story. And it's a new story that is so complex and multifaceted that it's hard to, it's like a library unto itself, because depending on the geographic region here and people's attitudes, a lot of cause and effect stuff happen that don't reconcile with each other.
So you've spoken to, you know, the big picture story, so to speak, the story of slavery and how important